Marcus Chen wiped the frost from his visor and continued drilling into the permafrost. Behind him, 3 Veltharian engineers stood in a cluster, their chitinous frames clicking with what he'd learned to recognize as laughter. "The human digs his hole," Kresh announced to the others, mandibles spreading in amusement. 17 days now. 17 days of wasted labor. Marcus didn't turn around. The drill bit screamed against ancient ice, sending crystalline fragments scattering across the landing pad. New Anchorage station sprawled behind them, a collection of prefabricated modules arranged in the Veltharian style, all above ground, all exposed to the Kepler 442b wind. Engineer Chen. That was Skara, the colony administrator. Her tone carried the particular patience one reserved for the simple-minded. "We have reviewed your tunnel proposal again. The resource allocation remains denied." "Not asking for resources," Marcus said, not pausing in his work. "Using my off hours, yes, we have noticed." Crash moved closer, his environmental suit humming. "Every rest period you are here. Digging. Always digging." The other Veltharians clicked again, definitely laughter. Marcus had been on Kepler 442b for 4 months now, the only human among the 73 colonists. The Veltharians had been kind enough in their way. They'd accepted Earth's application to join the colony effort. They'd provided transport, equipment, training. They just couldn't understand why he insisted on digging. "The atmospheric models are clear," Skara continued, pulling up a holographic display. "Kepler 442b experiences predictable weather patterns. Mild seasons. Occasional wind events, nothing our structures cannot withstand. Your homeworld's obsession with underground construction is... what? Quaint, Tadishan. But unnecessary here." Marcus finally stopped drilling. He straightened, his back protesting after 3 hours in the cold. "Earth has a saying. Better to have it and not need it." "And we have a saying," Thresh replied. "The fearful dig while the wise build upward." He gestured at the colony modules, their sleek surfaces gleaming in the orange light of Kepler 442b's sun. "We have established 17 colonies across 9 worlds, Engineer Chen. We know what we are doing." "Never said you didn't." "Then why waste your time?" Kara's tone shifted, almost concerned now. "You are a skilled engineer. We could use your expertise on the water reclamation system, on the power grid expansion. Instead you dig a tunnel to nowhere." Marcus looked at the hole he'd carved into the ground, 3 meters deep now, sloping downward at a careful angle. The entrance was wide enough for 3 people to walk abreast. The walls were smooth, reinforced with polymer spray he'd fabricated from his personal material allowance. "Not nowhere," he said quietly. "Somewhere safe." The Veltharians clicked again, but this time the sound was softer. Pitying. "Safe from what?" Thresh asked. "The weather is stable. The geology is sound. The atmosphere, while thin, is breathable with minimal augmentation." "What danger do you imagine, human?" Marcus picked up his drill again. "Don't imagine anything. Just preparing." "For what?" "For when I'm right." Kara's mandibles twitched. Frustration, Marcus had learned. "The human stubbornness is remarkable." "Very well. Continue your tunnel. But when the Colony Council reviews personnel efficiency next month, this will be noted." They left him there, their clicking fading as they returned to the warm modules. Marcus watched them go, then turned back to his tunnel. The drill bit whined as it bit into ice again. He'd grown up in Minnesota. He knew what winter looked like when it was coming. 6 weeks later, the tunnel extended 40 meters into the permafrost, branching into 3 chambers. Marcus had carved them during every off hour, every rest period, every moment he could spare. His quarters in the colony were sparse. He traded most of his comfort items for extra polymer spray, emergency heating elements and reinforcement materials. The Veltharians had stopped mocking him directly. Now they simply avoided him. "The human is still digging," he heard one of the younger engineers say as he passed through the commissary. "My clutchmate says he sleeps only 4 hours a night." "Obsessive behavior," another replied. "Perhaps the isolation is affecting his mind." Marcus filled his thermos with hot water and left without comment. Outside, the wind had picked up. Nothing serious yet, just a steady 15-kilometer-per-hour breeze from the north. But the sky had changed over the past week. The orange had deepened to rust, and clouds were forming in patterns he recognized from Earth. Lenticular clouds. Mammatus formations. The kind that came before something big. He'd tried to explain it to Skara 3 days ago. He'd pulled up the atmospheric models again, showing him the neat predictable sine waves of Kepler 442b's weather patterns. 17 colonies, she'd reminded him. 9 worlds. The Veltharian Meteorological Institute had been studying planetary weather for 3 centuries. Marcus had nodded and returned to his tunnel. The main chamber was large enough now to hold 50 people, if they packed in tight. He'd installed heating elements along the walls, connected to a backup power cell he'd assembled from spare parts. Emergency supplies lined one wall. Water rations, protein bars, medical kits. All purchased with his personal credits, all carried down here in secret. "You are wasting away." Marcus turned to find Takesh standing at the tunnel entrance. The young Veltharian engineer had been assigned as Marcus's partner on the water reclamation project. Back when Marcus had still worked on the water reclamation project. "I'm fine," Marcus said. Kesh descended into the tunnel, his movements careful on the sloped floor. "You are not fine. You have lost body mass. Your efficiency ratings have dropped 40%. Kara is considering sending you back to Earth on the next supply ship." "Can't do that. Contract is for 2 years. They can if they deem you psychologically unfit." Kesh looked around the chamber, his antennae twitching. "What is this for, Marcus?" "Truly." Marcus set down the polymer sprayer he'd been using to seal a crack. "You ever experienced a real winter, Takesh?" "I have studied Earth's climate data. I understand the concept of seasonal temperature variation." "That's not what I asked." Kesh was quiet for a moment. "No. Velthara Prime has minimal axial tilt. Our seasons are mild." "Right." Marcus pointed upward toward the surface. "Those clouds up there? That wind pattern? I've seen it before. Back home, before the big storms. The ones that shut down entire cities. But the models are based on 17 colonies across 9 worlds." Marcus interrupted. "How many of those worlds have Earth-like weather patterns? How many have the same atmospheric composition, the same axial tilt, the same ocean-to-land ratio as Kepler 440 Tobe?" Kesh's antennae drooped. "I do not know. I looked it up. None of them. Kepler 442b is the first Earth analog world the Veltharians have colonized." Marcus picked up the sprayer again. "Your models are good. But they're not built for this kind of planet. And you believe a storm is coming." "I know a storm is coming." Kesh looked around the chamber again, his gaze lingering on the emergency supplies. "If you are correct, this tunnel could not hold the entire colony." "No," Marcus admitted. "But it could hold whoever's willing to listen." The young Veltharian was silent for a long moment. Then, "How long do we have to finish?" "Maybe 2 weeks. Maybe less. And if the storm does not come?" Marcus smiled grimly. "Then I'll be the crazy human who dug a big hole for nothing. Won't be the first time someone called me crazy." Kesh stood there, mandibles working silently. Then he removed his outer coat and picked up a spare drill. "Show me where you need the next support beam installed." Marcus blinked. "You're helping?" "I'm preparing to be wrong," Takesh said. "It seems wise." The storm appeared on the horizon 12 days later. Marcus was sealing the final chamber when the colony alarm sounded. Not the emergency klaxon, just the general attention signal. He climbed to the surface to find the entire colony gathered near the main module, staring north. The sky had turned black. Not the black of night. Kepler 442b's 26-hour rotation meant it was mid-afternoon. This was the black of something massive, something angry, a wall of darkness that stretched from ground to stratosphere. Lightning flickered inside it, not the brief forks Marcus knew from Earth but sustained, crawling networks of electricity that pulsed like veins. "Atmospheric anomaly detected." Skara's voice came over the colony-wide channel. "All personnel, this is not a drill. Secure all exterior equipment and return to your assigned modules." Marcus ran to the tunnel entrance, where Takesh was already waiting with an armload of emergency beacons. They'd spent the past 12 days working in secret, Takesh helping during his off hours while the rest of the colony continued their routines. "Is it?" Kesh began. "Worse than I thought," Marcus said, staring at the approaching wall. "Much worse." The wind hit them then, a gust that nearly knocked Marcus off his feet. The temperature dropped 10 degrees in as many seconds. And then the snow began. Not snow like Earth snow, gentle flakes drifting down. This was horizontal, driven by wind that screamed across the landing pad like a living thing. Visibility dropped to 0 in seconds. Marcus grabbed Takesh's arm. "Get inside. Spread the word. Anyone who wants shelter, the tunnel is open." Kesh hesitated. Skara ordered everyone to the modules. "The modules won't hold." Marcus had to shout now over the wind. "They're designed for mild weather. This is going to rip them apart." For a moment, Takesh stood frozen. Then he nodded and ran toward the nearest module, disappearing into the white. Marcus activated his emergency beacon and planted it at the tunnel entrance, its red light barely visible through the blizzard. Then he descended into the darkness, sealing the reinforced door behind him. The tunnel was quiet. Warm. Safe. He sat in the main chamber and waited. 5 minutes later, the door opened. Kesh stumbled in, followed by 3 other Veltharians. Then 5 more. Then a dozen. "The modules are shaking," one of them said, mandibles clicking with fear. "Wind, we have never experienced wind like this." "How many are still up there?" Marcus asked. "Most of the colony," Takesh said. Kara ordered them to remain in the modules. "She says the structures are rated for wind speeds up to 200 kilometers per hour. Marcus closed his eyes. "What's the wind speed now?" 170. Rising. More Veltharians arrived, their environmental suits crusted with ice. Marcus directed them to the chambers, showed them the heating elements, the emergency supplies. They huddled together, clicking softly in their own language. The tunnel shuddered. Somewhere above, something metal screamed and tore. I need to go back up, Marcus said, standing. Kesh grabbed his arm. You will die. People are still up there. Skara ordered. I don't care what Skara ordered. Marcus pulled free and headed for the door. I'm not leaving them. He emerged into hell. The wind had reached 250 kilometers per hour. The snow was so thick Marcus couldn't see his own hands. The temperature had dropped to -40 and was still falling. He clipped his safety line to the guide rope he'd installed weeks ago and pulled himself toward the modules. The first one he reached was already collapsing, its walls buckling inward. Through a viewport he could see Veltharians inside, their movements panicked. Marcus hammered on the door until it opened, and they spilled out into the storm. Follow the rope, he screamed, pointing back toward the tunnel. Follow it down. He moved to the next module. And the next. Each time he found terrified colonists, their faith in Veltharian engineering shattered by the reality of Earth-like weather. Each time he guided them to the rope, sent them stumbling toward safety. On the fourth module he found Skara. She was standing in the center of the room, staring at a holographic display that showed the storm's impossible numbers. Wind speed, 300 kilometers per hour. Temperature, -50, and dropping. Duration, unknown. This is not possible, she whispered. The models were wrong, Marcus said. We need to go. Now. She looked at him, and for the first time he saw fear in her compound eyes. I was wrong. Doesn't matter. Come on. He led her out into the storm, one hand on the guide rope, the other gripping her arm. The wind tried to tear them away. The cold bit through their suits. But the rope held and the tunnel entrance appeared like a beacon in the white. They fell through the door together, and Takesh sealed it behind them. The storm lasted 4 days. In the tunnel, 71 colonists waited in the darkness. Marcus had designed the space for 50, so they were crowded, but the heating elements kept them warm, and the emergency supplies kept them fed. The Veltharians, who had mocked his tunnel as a waste of time, now huddled in its chambers and listened to the wind howl above. On the second day, Skara approached Marcus in the main chamber. He was checking the structural integrity of the ceiling, making sure the weight of accumulated snow wasn't compromising the supports. Engineer Chen, she said quietly. Marcus didn't look at her. Administrator, I owe you an apology. Now he turned. Kara stood before him, her posture low, a Veltharian gesture of submission he'd never seen her use before. You tried to warn us, she continued. You saw what we could not. And we mocked you for it. You didn't know, Marcus said. Your models were based on good data. Just not the right data. That is generous. But inaccurate. Kara's mandibles trembled. We were arrogant. We assumed our experience across 9 worlds made us experts on all worlds. We did not listen when you tried to share your expertise. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, how many did we lose? 2. Kesh envied Nara. They were in Module 7 when it collapsed. The others. She gestured around the tunnel. The others are here because of you. And Takesh. He helped. Yes. Kesh showed wisdom beyond his years. Skara looked around the chamber at the smooth walls, the carefully placed heating elements, the organized supplies. You built this alone. With no support. Using only your rest periods. Couldn't sleep anyway, Marcus said. Kept thinking about the storm. How did you know? Our instruments detected nothing until 12 hours before it arrived. Marcus shrugged. Grew up in Minnesota. You learn to read the sky. The way the clouds move. The way the wind smells. It's not something you can put in a model. Experience, Kara said softly. We have 3 centuries of meteorological data, but you have something we do not. You have lived through Earth winters. Yeah. We should have listened. Marcus finally smiled. Yeah. You should have. On the 4th day, the wind stopped. They emerged into a transformed world. The colony modules were gone, torn apart and scattered across the landing pad. Snow had drifted into mountains 10 meters high. The temperature had stabilized at -30, cold but survivable. And the sky was clear, orange and beautiful. The colonists stood in silence, staring at the destruction. Then, one by one, they turned to look at Marcus. We will rebuild, Skara announced. But this time, we will build correctly. Engineer Chen, I am placing you in charge of the reconstruction effort. Marcus shook his head. I'm not an architect. No? But you understand this world in ways we do not. She gestured at the tunnel entrance, still intact, still safe. You will teach us, and we will listen. Kesh approached, carrying a datapad. I have been reviewing Earth's architectural history. There are many examples of underground construction. Subway systems. Bomb shelters. Basement foundations. If we combine these techniques with Veltharian materials technology, we could build something that lasts, Marcus finished. Something that can handle whatever this planet throws at us. Yes. The other colonists gathered around, clicking softly. Not in mockery this time. In agreement. Kara placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder, a human gesture she must have learned from cultural files. We called your tunnel a waste of time. We were fools. Marcus looked at the tunnel entrance, at the colonists filing back inside to retrieve their belongings, at the clear sky above. Not fools. Just new here. This planet, it's got Earth's temper. Takes time to learn how to live with that. And you will teach us. Yeah, Marcus said, picking up his drill. I'll teach you. 6 months later, New Anchorage Station was rebuilt. The new design featured reinforced modules on the surface for daily operations, connected by tunnels to underground chambers for shelter. The Veltharian Meteorological Institute sent a team to study Kepler 440b's unique weather patterns, incorporating Marcus's observational techniques into their models. And when the next storm came, smaller than the first but still fierce, the colony was ready. They gathered in the tunnels and waited it out together, warm and safe. And if some of the younger Veltharians asked why they had to build underground, the elders would tell them about the human who dug while they mocked, who prepared while they dismissed, who saved them all when the blizzard hit. Marcus Chen, the engineer who knew winter was coming. The human who was right.